So, if you saw the last little feed, I went under the bridge, ducked and dived around a couple of little roads, a little bit of the footpath, put me onto another road and led me back into this footpath again. Oops. That. Down there, I think if it goes the whole way along here, I know where it ends up. I've never walked all this way. But I want to be, just to cut a little bit out of my journey, I want to be this side. Once again, if you're in any doubt about public rights of way and how lawful they are and how irremovable they are, this insignificant scrap of roadway went right across one, and so this had to be built because you have the right of way to go across there, probably even down at road level. I wouldn't want to test that, but anyway, as a right of way has been cut across, for want of a better word, this bridge has had to have been provided so that your right to pass and repass on this right of way has not been obstructed or curtailed, let's say. But that's junction 18. Junction 17 is just round the corner there. I was just thinking, if I was in my early teens, I would probably be waving. Now that's the thing, lots of early teens would be sticking their fingers, especially these days, to the guys coming past, and you get them tooting and stuff, and you could have a laugh. But even in my troubled youth, I would probably still have been waving at them. Anyway, 660 yards, or maybe now about 550 yards before Berry Lane. I'm probably going to go off this feed again in a second, but just thought I'd share that little bit. I want to get back to my car now, to be honest with you. I'm a bit hungry. Didn't expect to walk this far. Still probably got a fair old way to walk, and I'm not sure exactly what twists and turns are going to come along the way, but at least I'm back over on the correct side of the M25 again right now and seeing something new. But to be honest with you, I just want to get back to my car now, which is parked on Chorleywood Common, which, as the crow flies, is not very far from here at all. But as the meandering, wandering English country ancient right of way goes, it could take me a little bit longer than I'd like. So I'm going to get both hands free, and probably at several points along this path I'll consider creating another live for some interesting little thing I've found, but I probably won't do it. I think a GoPro and a hybrid bike is probably the most desirable mode of transport for this. Maybe mic myself up. You'd hear lots of breathing, but you would be able to hear me when I spoke. That might be more preferable. Anyway, and for the purists, of course, not a hybrid bike, just a pure mechanical pedal bicycle. But anyway, always nice to have the boost if you need it. Especially if I always say, you never recover or regain the energy you lost going up a hill when you go down one. There's probably some mathematical law or something, but I don't think it's just humans, I think it's machinery as well. So riding on the flat you can do for days and days. Or I used to be able to anyway. But if it's very hilly and you're going up lots of hills, even when you come down them, it's a nice rest. But as soon as you hit the other hill, you realise you're not quite as don't quite have the energy levels you did on the previous hill and so on, and eventually you are worn out. Now this, no, this isn't where I thought it was. But wow, look at that. Right, let's go back up here. There was something going on across this field. Some sort of path of some sort. Wow, isn't that weird? I got out of the way of that just as it came. I would like to go down there, but I think that's the way to go. Let's see where it ends up. Don't know who I've got joined me just now, but anyway. There is it looked like an electric motocross bike or something. You know, as a young lad, he looked very young, flying around here. So I'll try and make sure that I'm seen, and also try and figure out. This is quite amazing, actually. I'm very impressed with this little spot. It's just a pity that I'm not really prepared for it. It's getting late in the day. I'm a little bit tired. No food, no drink with me. I'm not sure exactly where it goes. I'm in for a walk, I think, no matter what, etc., etc. There's always a twist and turn, and sometimes no matter how tired I get, there's something that's just far too interesting for me to ignore. I can't believe that I didn't carry on walking that way. This may not even be the right way to go, but sort of diagonally it seems so. But that depends what happens when you get down here. So yeah, not the ideal set of circumstances to come in here with. But a really great looking spot. I think I was absolutely right about the idea of a hybrid bike here. Would be a lot of fun, I'm sure. Anyway, really, I think I might know where it is. It says Berry Lane. I recognise the name of Berry Lane. I think I know where that is. I think that's sort of runs alongside or maybe into the common, which is good news for me. That doesn't mean to say I've taken the Berry Lane route, but we'll see. It's good that I'm cutting off the corner, because if I stayed walking alongside the M25, eventually I'd probably then have to do a left, and I would have done a right angle rather than, cutting off the corner. So it's a shorter route, potentially, the way I've come, even though it did look a bit more interesting, although it was a bit more noisy. But anyway, there you go. That was so funny that I decided to take a look at a field, and literally as I looked at that field, a young lad, he only looked like, from the back of him, I saw he looked like about 11 or something, just came flying by. I don't know if he would have seen me where I was standing just a few seconds earlier. I don't know if he saw me anyway, but it would have been good to have captured that, but not to have been run over, because he certainly wasn't hanging around. He had a helmet on, and it looked like he was on a motorbike, but it wasn't. But he was moving so quick, I think it was a hybrid bike. Anyway, quite glad I didn't get run over by that. Some banking up there. It's a really interesting spot. I just can't stop saying it, that I'm not out in the middle of nowhere. This, the noise in the background is the M25. I do know where I am, and I'm quite glad that I did this now. I know that bridge. I have to remember which way to go at the bridge for where I'm parked. But yeah, and now this is always like when I feel a bit disappointed that I didn't go the adventurous route, but trust me, I think I did the right thing. my kind of energy levels are dropping really fast, so I haven't really, it's dinner time, and put it that way. And this body these days does not like getting hungry. Anyway, this is great. I could see that I could get out. This fence wasn't blocking me in. And I also remember, this is great because I saw this the other day and I didn't come down here for a reason. I think it was because there was a woman there, run out of diesel. And I kind of, I just thought, no, I'm not going to go out there. It's a bit, just going to make everybody concerned. So I just carried on the most obvious sort of route. But it just reminds me of in South Oxy Woods once. I think I told this story before, but I was bumbling around on my bike and it was getting dark, and it wasn't raining, but it had been a few days before. It was pretty boggy and marshy, and I didn't really know exactly where I was, but I knew where the woods were, so I knew wherever as soon as I come to the edge of them, I could, go around in a circle and get back to where I needed to get back to. So I was going down this hill and it was, as I say, very boggy, very marshy, and I saw these houses at the bottom. I thought, well, I don't recognise them, but I'm sure I'll be able to figure out where I am when I get back out onto the road. So I carried on going down quite a steep hill, got to the bottom, and honestly, I don't even know why it was so tall. It was about, 18 foot or more tall, this fence at the bottom. And I'm literally looking at these houses that I didn't know where they were, and I couldn't get out of there. And I turned round, and I looked, and it was uphill, and there was no way you could ride it. It was so boggy. I'd done well to stay on the bike coming down it. I had no energy left, and I remember, and by then it was pretty much dark, and I was walking my bike, which even to push it was difficult, uphill in the mud, slipping, sliding in the dark, not knowing exactly where I am, and knowing that the moment I get out of those woods, I've probably got to go around in a big circle to get back to where I needed to get back to. And it's just a funny moment to think that these places, they look so, they're really lovely, and you think, well, I know where I am. I'm only just a couple of 100 yards off the road or whatever. And then it doesn't take much. And when you come out of it all right, and you think, I think I was being a bit dramatic, but it is a concern when you get all of those circumstances thrown at you, and you think, well, is it going to carry on getting like this? Is there going to be some more little twists and turns along the way? But anyway, there we go. So that's about it. Hello. Hello. And now I know exactly where my car is in relation to here. So I think I'm going to stay on the feed, actually, in the interest of privacy. Keep these guys out. The last time I did a feed along here was doing a tribute to my aunt, and if my hand was over the microphone, but anyway, let me just double think something. Dog Kennel Lane goes up to the pub, I think. In which case, I then walk over the common back to my car. There we go. Could probably even stop in at the pub along the way. It was a tribute to my aunt last time I came along here. And I don't think I went along here. I think I carried on down there and ended up Valley Road, which people who are familiar with this area will know as being quite the real estate along there. Some lovely houses. It reminds me, actually, funny that's probably why I did it, actually, because the tribute to my aunt, she was in America for a long time, and Valley Road here in Chorleywood does actually remind me of America. I'm not really alone either. There's plenty of people who say the same. It's just whatever that is, it's got that sort of upmarket LA suburbia, almost sort of Beverly Hills type feel to it. And then when you look at the price tag, it's probably even more so. But there I go. I never really used to think of the prices of things. I just used to think, do I like it or not? And can I do anything about it? I'm not talking about houses, I'm just talking about anything really. Name, want, get. That's the saying. Name your product, want your product, get your product. And I think even if you can't get it, if you have to abandon ship, you can at least start by saying, oh, what is it exactly that I'm wanting? And then in amongst all the heckles of, well, aren't we all, don't we all want that? Oh, is that all? And all that sort of stuff. Make your way through all that garbage. And you name it and you think, I used to think to myself, would I want it if no one was watching? Yeah, because I like it. I'm not doing it for anyone else, doing it for me. I think, to me that's quite important. Don't want to get caught up in the matrix or whatever. So that's what I'd do. Just think, yeah, that's what I want. I can either do it or I can't, but it's true that I want it. Great. And then you look and you think, all right, what am I going to do about it? And when I think about it, all the things that I really needed to do, or felt I really needed to do, and that I did do, and sort of what for me personally are just kind of like my own biggest achievements, might not sound much to anyone else, but for me personally, I look and I think, that's something I really love the fact that I did that I managed to make that happen, whatever it was. They always seem to be just out of reach. They always seem to be something that I didn't really have the right to, quote unquote, the right to put there as an idea. But it was like, that's what I want to do. I think, damn, well, that's true. It's true that I want to do it. That's a product. I have a truth there. I do want to do it. And then you think, okay, in order to do that, I'm going to have to pull off something beyond what I have at my disposal, and perhaps beyond what mechanically, what you would, I'd be able to sort of say I have the right to think that I could do. So you think, in other words, I've never earned that kind of money before, or I don't have that resource at hand, or I'm going to have to pull off some help from people who I've yet to even meet, or whatever it is. But it's just the right amount of genuine desire for the thing, and just the right amount of genuine reach needed beyond the comfort zone or beyond what you currently have. You're going to have to get off your backside and do something about this, and even if you do, you still have no idea how you're going to do it, if you know what I mean. But those ones, I'm sure I'm not alone with that. It just captures your imagination in some way. Whether it's the business, place to live, various other things. It's always been the ones you think, how the hell am I going to do that? And I've never spent money on something. I've never spent money I had on anything worthwhile. Anything I've done that's been worthwhile, I've been floating in the sky at the point of dreaming about it, just, it's like not, I remember the place I have now is free, had to get, within a space of a month, I had to get about 3 or 4 times the income that we'd ever made in the business in order to do it. But it's like it's almost like, I'm actually compromising my own thoughts here. It's exactly the fact that I saw that we did it. So, okay, let's go ahead and do it then. And loads of things like that where it's just, it's not one of those things where I could find a house now that's 5 times more than I could afford and just go and make it happen. It's almost like that's impossible. It's like walking through a wall. You can't do it. If you make the wall disappear, you can, but then, well, you're walking through the wall sort of thing. So it's not like a party trick or some mechanical thing. It's just something when, I'm sure, I wouldn't want to put this to the test really, but I'm sure if I needed to you know, it's necessity level. Sure, if I needed to do it again, I could do it again. Sometimes you think you need to, and it turns out you don't. So, but when I look back and I think all the things I appreciate were where, you know, you just go out on a limb, but it's not reckless. It's like a form of determination that almost never fails. I think in football terms, if you've done everything you should have done to get into your season, and then the wheels come off for some reason, but you've done all your due diligence, you haven't, you know, you've put a proper team together to challenge for whatever it is you're trying to achieve, and then something goes wrong that you didn't foresee. It's amazing what happens, like what you can pull in. Anyone who really knows their football history will know about someone like Roy Essendon. Wycombe Wanderers were having a bit of a cup run in the FA Cup, and they got a bunch of injuries, and they had to play. Who was it? Coventry, Everton. Who was it? It wasn't Liverpool. I actually cannot remember. It was Arsenal, maybe. I don't know. I think it was a Premier League team. Anyway, they drew him in the cup, and they didn't have a striker. And the saying was that they went on the internet. So I think they used CFAX to ask anybody out of contract who's fit. We need them for this game. And they found this guy called Roy Essendon. Google him, Essendon, with a H on the end. And he'd been wandering around the non-league scene for a while. And even at that level, as a striker, he was a big guy as well, he hadn't really been that prolific, even at that level. And he found himself, I can't remember if he came on as a sub or not, but anyway, he was in this cup game. And I don't think there were very many minutes left, and he rose like a salmon, I think it was, with his head. Scored the winner, knocked, I can't believe I can't remember who it was, but knocked him out of the cup. And I just think, if you go into a situation saying, we don't need to bother too much, something will turn up, you know, can't see us getting knocked out, can't see us getting relegated, can't see us failing at this, you're not going to get away with it. But if you genuinely make a proper go of it with everything you've got, it's amazing what you can get away with. The amount of times players score a hatful of goals on loan, and the club buy the player and he never scores for them again, and stuff like that is something else at play, isn't it? But you know, if Wycombe had gone into the next season thinking, we don't need a striker, we've got him, so, well, how's he doing now? But when you're on the back foot, you pull something out of the fire, and that's what we love about the FA Cup. And at the end of the day, it's just got that. It sort of mirrors in a 90-minute segment. It kind of mirrors that, something we sort of know, especially in this country where we love the underdog. And a lot of people say that's the difference between a good player and a world-class player. Most decent level professional footballers can show you a reel of their best moments, and it's quite spectacular, but it's those who do it not just week in, week out, but under the expectation as well, and in key moments. You know, those players, if you follow your team closely, you know the guys who always score the important goals. And you might go on Wikipedia and look, and you think they scored so many, and you look and think, they didn't score that many, but they always scored when we needed them to. And you think of those types of people as leaders. Anyway, that part of you that is your own leader can be found in your greatest and most favourite, cherished accomplishments. When you set out to do something you had no track record of doing, and you pulled it off, much to your own delight. Little miracles. And if you can really recognise the ingredients of a miracle, you can turn it into something that happens often enough for you to sort of question whether or not to continue to call it a miracle. Anyway, we all look for that. It's a little bit like the old term about marketing. 50% of my marketing works. Unfortunately, I don't know which 50%. Maybe it's the same with a miracle. In amongst that box of tricks are the things that made it happen. Wish I knew which ones they were. Yeah. So anyway, that was the pub, the Black Horse, which I had been featuring on my lives. A couple of little things just for the sake of it. 2.5 million views of my photographs on Google now. Just over 100,000 views of my videos. Bunch of other bits and pieces on there that's happening. It's quite nice because I did a review of this place and I got a note from Google saying 127 people had seen my photograph of that pub like in 5 days or something. Oh, by the way, I do know it's much more enticing to walk up that way where I just was, but this is the way the car is and it's getting dark, and it's not even really getting dark now. It doesn't really matter, I can walk through there or whatever. But anyway, getting hungry, getting to the point where I think let's just get back to the car. Yeah, anyway, so I'm quite pleased with the Google thing. I'm not really sure. Obviously, it's nice to see that people see your stuff and you do reviews. And I never do average reviews. If something was a 2 or a 3 out of 5, you know, why would I even bother talking about it or sharing it? So I don't really consider myself a reviewer as such. I consider myself maybe a sharer of good news. You know, when you see, you know, it's just this humanity again. You do something, you see a movie that you really like and you just think in the back of your mind, you think, oh God, I've got to tell so-and-so about this. It might be a different person each time, but you want to share it with someone meaningful, someone you feel it would mean something to. And I think that's probably, I trust that Google will bring the audience. And then of course, like I say, I provide the content. I don't really, the place I'm reviewing provides the content or the point of focus. And then I just link the two up and say, you know that place you just saw on Google? Here's something cool I have to say about it that might make you decide to go and experience that for yourself. So places like Sketch in London, Harvey Nicks, which I love, Carpo Coffee, various other bits and pieces. Just things that I love. And then the other good thing is that sometimes things like Princess Yachts, they're lovely yachts. Am I going to buy one? Well, not according to my bank account, but you never know. But even if I did, once you've bobbed up and down the sea for a few minutes with various different people that you can or can't trust, you're going to realise that you're trying to use the thing. And that must be pretty depressing. So in other words, if you've got a nice big yacht, you also assume that you're going to have the need for it in some way. And yeah, I don't think you could spend 50 weeks bobbing up and down on your however many £1 million yacht. So unless you were doing something with it. So if you have a lifestyle that means that thing's getting used properly to your satisfaction, then that's a different thing. When you think, you know, when you look at a yacht and think, oh, I'd love that. It's like I personally feel that most of us would need, you know, you'd need it as well, you know. So as well as perhaps not having the money to buy one and not having the lifestyle to really make the most out of it rather than synthetically, you know, just trotting up and down the Mediterranean, you know, one of the things you can do is be a fan of them, you know, and look and say, that is really lovely, I like those, and then tell someone about it. And who wants to tell no one about it? And who wants to tell a bunch of people who are like, why do you like those things, all bastard millionaire, rich get richer, yappity yappity yap. It's like, no. So I want to find people who would be delighted to see what I had to share. So I tend to share things that I like, and because I've got quite a bit of attention on there now, I suppose, in some way. Sometimes I think if I had a really bad experience, would I use that exposure that I potentially have there to share it? I don't think I would. I think it would just bring down the purpose of my reviews, which is basically to share good news with people. And by good news, I don't just mean my mate next door has won on the horses. I mean, look at this place. Here's somewhere to go and have a nice time, etc., etc. So that's what I mean by good news. Just, yeah. So that's what my lives are really as well. It's just a way of seeing something, thinking, wow, look at this, and then just plopping my phone onto it and showing whoever wants to look. So this is Chorleywood in Hertfordshire, as it always is these days, it seems, with me. And I still seem to find bits of it that I never seen before, and even to myself, looking back at a couple of moments during this little lap of Chorleywood that I've done today, I can see it's quite comical that I had moments of personal concern about where I was and what the hell was going to happen next. It's funny, I look back and think, wow, what was all that about? But you don't have to be very far off the beaten track to be in a predicament if you don't have all your ducks in a row. Probably my advice would be, don't be hungry, don't be thirsty, don't need the loo, don't be tired. Take a little high energy snack of some sort with you and a little bit of water. I've violated all of those points so far, by the way, on this occasion and several other occasions. But do those things. Give yourself enough time in the day, enough daylight, etc. He said, standing around in the dusk. And go and just follow your whiskers. See where you end up. Document it along the way, if that would be your thing, as it is mine. Now that little blue dot up there, with a head behind it, bobbing up and down, is my car. And I'm quite happy to see it. I probably could have managed another 20 minutes, but not 20 minutes of uncertainty. That was enough for me. But yeah, I found a little bunch of stuff, and as I'm still not sure when I started off walking whether or not I inadvertently bunnies down there, whether or not I inadvertently went up a private road or not, I don't know. But as I'm not sure and it wasn't signposted, I probably won't do it again. So if I wanted to do that walk again, I'd have to approach it in some other way. But it's very interesting. I do fancy returning, not on the bike I have, because I just think I'd get worn out too quickly, to be honest with you, at the moment. So who knows, maybe at some point soon I'll be able to get a hybrid. And I assume most people know what a hybrid bike is these days, but I didn't actually. But some people call them electric bikes, but they are bicycles with a battery that help you. So they're not fully electric. You can pedal. You do pedal. In fact, I think you get assistance from, as you start the ball rolling, it assists you, which is handy for going up hills. I think it just means you can stay out longer and have more fun. Canal towpaths are great because they're so flat. You might have to go over the old bridge to cross over each side, as the towpath swaps from side to side if it's not on both sides. And if you go down the Grand Union into London, the really annoying thing is there's a point, so annoying, around about Uxbridge, where you have to keep getting off your bike every few hundred yards or less sometimes to feed it through barriers. That was a Metline train just going past. To feed it through barriers, and I can tell you this, I don't think I speak alone on this. Inertia, you know, once you get going you can keep going, but stopping and starting, it just kills you. The amount of times I've been riding along very happy, and then you get off your bike, you get back on, and you're like, oh, don't have the energy I had the last time I got on the thing. And so that, once again, even on the towpaths, because if they've got barriers on them every so often, it just breaks your stride, breaks your rhythm, and I found it really tiring. So much so that I ended up in Richmond. I got the train home. Plus it was dark and late. But yeah, so I think a hybrid bike's quite a good idea, because you can deal with going up the hills. You still have to put a bit in yourself, but you won't be finding yourself getting up some big hill and having to stop because there isn't a downhill immediately afterwards. So yeah, maybe a hybrid bike. But anyway, I really love it here. I do. I'm sort of partly trying to wonder whether or not to live here, but I don't think so. Nearly, maybe. Depends on the circumstances. But I just think it's great, considering where it is. It's like being properly in the country, you know. Anyway, so that's it. That's me. Thanks for joining. Do the traditional swap round to say goodbye. I've noticed that this has been in and out of 5G as I've been walking on an iPhone 13 Pro Max, which I got yesterday, and my understanding on the 5G thing is that some of the things, well, it depends who you listen to. Some people say some of the things that are not so great about 5G haven't been switched on yet, and others say some of the things that are not great about 5G have been taken out. Anyway, anyway, for the most part, it's been all right so far. We'll see. But other than that, that's your lot. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thanks for joining. Hope you liked it. From Chorleywood, it's Paul Cruz with no tagline. Just signing out. Bye.